is up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we review a bunch of comics and also talk about the hit show MASH and its legacy on the TV landscape. We'll get to that later in the episode, I'm sure, but let's kick it off with a bunch of big issues this week, starting with Amazing Spider-Man number 50 from Marvel, written by Zeb Wells, Marv Wolfman. Whoa, Pete giving a fist pump. I am stunned. Nikesh, Shukla,
Wolfman,
Spidey,
Lee Gatlin, Joe Kelly, art by Ed McGuinness, Terry Dodson, Chriscross, Lee Gatlin, Juan Ferreyra, and Todd Nauck. This, of course, is a big, oversized anniversary issue with a bunch of short stories, but the main thrust of it is we're getting what we kind of knew was coming anyway. It's not too much of a spoiler. It's on the cover. We have been teased and told this is happening, and finally happens. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, has become the new Goblin. That is something that is taken through the main story of the issue as he tackles with Norman Osborn, who is also a goblin, and we also get a new iteration of the living brain, the walking brain.
The walking brain.
Yes, I love when my
talked about walking
walk.
a lot.
Yeah,
That brain loved talking about walking around.
Got to get your steps in, man. You know,
Yeah, I think that
all of
brain
us
says
MASH watchers, we're getting older. So.
You know, a lot of people's favorite part of The Walking Dead was the dead part. I always loved the walking.
The walking.
So I'm
That's the
here
best part of walking.
Can I
Dead.
just say, I know this is a side thing, and this has been tried and true. Why were they called walkers? That's the single stupidest name you can call zombies. Like, looking at the living dead who have been reanimated and are eating other people, if your first thought is, oh my God, they're walking, that feels like the wrong impulse there. That feels like you should die.
It's like, don't worry, they're just walkers. They're just very slowly coming toward you.
Yeah. My main takeaway from these zombies over here is the walking part of what they're doing.
The tooth guys is what I would say. Here come the tooth guys.
We're already so derailed, and we're on the first comic. If I could bring it back,
Here's the thing, Pete. A lot of times the train doesn't start on the tracks, and then they have to put it there. And that's what we're doing. We're getting on the tracks. Yeah.
I don't think that's true at all. Listen.
Have you ever read the LIRR? Because come on.
I'm just going to say there are too many Spider-Man comics in this stack. There's too many.
Oh, that was you
over Spider-Man.
the podcast?
Wow. The man of the people. The man of the real comics heart of the podcast.
We need to get back to talking about Amazing Spider-Man number 50. Let's talk about several comics. I'm Pete LePage. I actually really like this issue, and I actually really like the main story, even as I was frustrated at the same time by the idea that they teased out Spider-Man turning into the Goblin issues ago, and they could have done it issues ago. Instead, they tried to do this feint where it actually is here. Even though I don't like that, the whole world of that, there's a really good amount of tension in this issue because as a reader, given that you know this is happening, you know exactly what is going to happen before the characters of the book, and it feels like you're watching a horror movie while you're reading it because you're shouting at them like, no, this is what the walking brain is trying to say. What are you doing here? Listen to him now. So I don't love the idea of Peter Parker being a goblin. I don't love the fact that they did it and then stopped it and then now they're doing it again. But at the same time, I will say this is a well-crafted comic book.
Yeah, the peeling of the back, the way it was kind of like, oh, God, Peter, I wish you wouldn't have opened that compartment. Oh, no. Oh, I wish you wouldn't have done that. And then the kind of they keep revealing, and then when he started laughing, it was, like you said, it was like a horror come to life. It was very epic and well done. But what I really liked about this comic is there's this lovely story with Rhino, and it has kind of like this kind of almost like kids art. I don't know how to describe it. It's like like a pop-up book
story.
Yes, it's so awesome. And
with the thing.
Yeah, and Rhino. I just loved it. It was just so great.
Leave it to Pete to find the story least connected to the continuity and be like, that's what this is about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I agree with you, Alex. This is the story. The Peter Parker taking on the sins of Norman Osborn that happened earlier felt like a weird detour a derailment of this story, and it is strange that they sort of went and did that when this feels like where the power is, and it has those moments in horror movies that are almost funny, like when he opens the door, it's like, oh yes, I'm the Green Goblin, or I'm the Gold Goblin. This is what Pete just said, and he's like, haha, I'm a hero, no worries there. And then he says, oh, what about this word? And then the Green, he's like, got me, I'm a villain. And I was like, this is actually hilarious. It could work in like a sort of parody movie, but instead it is used here to get the horror over. And I think the splash page with Peter Parker laughing in a Joker-esque moment to make a comparison from the other company was really well done. I don't know what this means. Mm-hmm. And I do think like the Norman Osborn is good is always something that we were like, yeah, right. So to have it unfurl here, I thought was like, yes, finally.
Yeah, ultimately, the proof is going to be in the execution of this storyline. And like I beat this drum all the time, but what does this mean for Peter Parker? And what does this tell us about Peter Parker? If the answer is not much, this is not a good move. But if we learn something else about him, if it pushes him forward in some way, then great. So we'll see. But as a whole, like Pete was indicating, this is a very good package of a comic book. The backup stories have great art throughout as well. So very fun. There you go. Let's move
real quick. We'll love a Dodson's Terry Dodson Black Cat.
You
story.
do, anyway. You're a huge fan.
Let me say one other thing, though, about the content of the first story. We have the living brain who becomes the walking brain.
Right.
Who says, like, Peter Parker is not Spider-Man, which is a great sort of, again, horror movie
first
statement.
line. Yeah.
But then the living brain gives the sort of key phrase that unlocks the Green Goblin, thereby making Peter Parker into Green Goblin. So I'm like, what's your deal?
Yeah,
like, are you sort of caused this, didn't you, living brain?
I don't know. That's the thing. Again, it's about how the storyline plays out over the next couple of issues.
I think as we
interesting take, Alex. So you're saying keep reading this comic book, this sequential story.
Let me just explain real quick how comic books work.
Interesting. Wow, I wish you told me this 18 years ago.
Would have really fixed a lot of stuff in your life.
Certainly.
All right, I guess we're moving on to. I thought, Pete, you were going to say something.
Well, I was, but then I got cut off 3 times in a row, so I was like, all right, fuck it.
Oh my God, we are 8 minutes.
Why are you mad? We're talking. We're just talking about stuff.
Maybe it wouldn't have been funny, so we'll move on.
Peter, you don't like. I don't know why I called you Peter there, but I think Spider-Man, starting with Spider-Man, puts you on it's like a bad footing.
Yeah,
we should start with something.
This was a big issue, so we start with this.
It was a huge
but
issue.
Let's get it back on track and talk about. Let's get this train back on track and talk about Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, #7 from DC Comics, written by Brian Buccellato, art by Christian Duce. This is the final issue of this book, as the Justice League, per the title, actually teams up with Kong to take down Mechagodzilla, which is run by Lex Luthor. Also, Superman reactivates Godzilla to take down a bunch of, I think they're Skull Crushers who are attacking Metropolis and other things. So this is a big monster mashup. This is the thing you've been waiting for. Pete, take it away.
Plus the big marriage proposal. I mean, all this madness going on, and then you have some real sweet moments.
You talking about when Kong proposes to Godzilla?
Yeah, that's right. Gets down on one knee like a gentleman. You know what I mean?
Like a gentle ape.
Yeah, gentle being. Yeah, I just I love this shit. I love this over the top fun. DC made a smart move with this and just being like, hey, let's get crazy with these characters and see what happens. And I'm all for it. I think it was a blast. Art was epic and matched it on every level. I just this was a good old time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Alex, you seem to like this as well, and I've just always been like, this story feels strange. Mm-hmm. It feels like sort of a comic you'd get in a cereal box in a way where it's like, it's just sort of the top layer of even the proposal between Clark Kent and
how
Lois Lane.
dare you!
But I was
Don't
like, why
bring that proposal to a cereal box.
Why, you love cereal. I would think that's a great place to take your proposal. Drop the ring right in the Cheerios if you want.
Yeah, and then just watch them as they slowly eat their way through
I had fun reading this. I do agree with you that there were some wonky moments, like how they treat Guy Gardner dying, where everybody's like, I never really liked him.
I was like,
That's Guy Gardner. I mean,
I was like, Jesus Christ. You gave his ring to a monkey, and then the monkey left. That's weird.
I mean, it was cool to see Kong have the most
Green Lantern
willpower.
is a great move. Very
Very
fun.
cool.
All of the stuff with Godzilla, I recently rewatched MonsterVerse movies with my son who had never seen them. And it is, I don't know, I mean, I guess this is a Godzilla thing, but the idea that he's like, take him off the board as much as you possibly can and just bring him in for the end when he's going to vomit fire down the main monster's mouth. That's exactly what they do here. So I think this team like hits all the tropes you need to hit for the MonsterVerse direction. The Justice League gets to do Justice League stuff. You get a Green Lantern and a Batman back to back fighting giant monsters.
come on.
So, it's a good time.
I think my issue with comics like this is it's always about managing the characters like Godzilla and Kong and being like, we got to keep them off the board to the end. I'm like, well, what are we doing then? They're on the marquee. Why are we managing them? And it just feels you can feel it a little bit in this story, and it's just a hard story to crack.
Yeah, I will say from the MonsterVerse perspective, if you haven't seen, and this is for our listeners, I know both of you guys have probably seen, but Kong Skull Island, that is I think the one movie that's not like, yeah, we got to keep Kong off. It's literally like there's a theme. It's about the Vietnam War. It's using Kong as a very specific metaphor for part of that, and he's very much a part of the movie. Can I do a plug, if that's okay with you guys?
Oh, this could be yes.
So every summer I usually host a couple of talks at Bryant Park.
Yes.
About
I
comic
remember
books. And this summer, I was very excited to hear one of them is going to be about Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah.
So that's going to be Tuesday, July 9th at 1 p.m. If you want to come by, it's free. They give out free copies of the book. I will certainly talk about the stuff that I didn't like about it.
Well, this is just the perfect setup. If somebody's going to propose out there, this is the spot to do it. You go to Bryant Park, you wait for Zalbin to bring up the marriage proposal, then you do it. Then it's the perfect time. Yeah.
And I'm an ordained
Smart.
minister, so it should
Oh,
be an issue.
perfect. There you go.
Knock out the wedding. Smart. Like a lot of people want to be proposed to and then wedded on the same day.
Exactly.
In Bryant
No.
At a graphic novel book club. I honestly can't think of a better place.
Flash mob style. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what a flash mob is.
definitely not. Archie Comics, Judgment Day, #1 from Archie Comics, written by
Judgment Day.
Aubrey Sitterson, art by Megan Hutchison. We had them on the show, and I really wish we had talked to them about this
We
book.
should have.
Really
It's
should
too
have.
bad.
Good. I like that you short-circuited Pete's normal
I
complaint.
did. I can't deal with it anymore. We talked to them about this book quite a bit.
No, we
A
didn't.
lot about the process, so definitely check it out. Great conversation with them on the live show. But they're not here. We can honestly talk about this. This is about Riverdale going to hell. Archie is the last human left, and over the course of the book, horrible things happen to him as he teams up with demons to take down other demons. Like we talked about on the show, I think the real standout here, nothing against Aubrey, but man, Megan Hutchinson's spreads throughout this book are so freaky and so
Infernal.
good. Oh, yeah. They feel like, did you call out, was it Hieronymus Bosch on a podcast we were talking about? But like, he's the one who did the hell paintings as well,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
It feels like that. It's great.
Yeah, unlike you, I don't have two faces. When we talk to someone on the live show, I tell them how I feel. But this is worth it for the art alone. You know what I mean?
That's really funny, Pete, because you only give compliments on the live show. You literally have a whole segment where you're like, hey, I just want to take a second and compliment you about your work.
Well, if I'm moved, that's what I do. But listen, I think that this is you want to kind of get the physical copy of this book because the spreads in here are just phenomenal and epic. If you like horror and it's got kind of like a hint of metal to it, which is really nice. You're gonna love this book.
Well, and like I agree, the art is
You're
fantastic.
gonna love the way you look.
But I also wow. Am I in hell? But I also think the story is great. Like I said this on the live show, but like the depth at which this story from both writing and art perspective operate, and the sort of full world feel you get when you just scroll through these pages, like it is awesome. It's it's darker than all the other Archie stuff. It takes a lot of risks in the same way that the whole Archie line feels like for the last 10 years has been just taking big swings. And this feels like a new iteration of that. It's a great
They do
read.
a great job of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great horror stuff and really nice package.
Yeah, I'm excited to pick this up. And
package.
I just want to give a shout out, since Pete didn't say anything, the Jay Lee cover to this book is so good.
Yeah.
If that's the one that's available, if that's available at my local comic shop, I'm picking that up. Fall of the House of X, #5 from Marvel, written by Gerry, Duggan, art by Lucas Werneck and Stefano Caselli. This is the final issue of Fall of the House of X. We've got 2 issues of this era of X-Men left to go, with the end of Rise of the Powers of X and then X-Men 700, aka X-Men #35. But here we're ending up the present day as the team fights Nimrod in multiple locations. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, because I've seen a lot of mixed reaction to this book in particular. People seem very positive to the Kieran Gillen stuff and the future-facing stuff, but feel like the present stuff is lacking. Justin, why don't we go to you first, because I know you're an X-Men booster, before Pete says...
Nice. It's funny to hear
Pete,
that.
You don't like Nimrod, you don't like this era, so I'm curious to get some first.
Yeah, I would say this issue that is a Cyclops love fest. Yeah, I don't think we need to go to Pete first about this one, because this is the most pro Cyclops book out there. He is definitely labeled as the most important X-Man in this sort of current moment. Whether or not that's something we all believe, or that the story actually believes across the whole thing, I don't know if that's true, but I thought this is a great issue, and I like the Kieran Gillen stuff is great. It's so rich and mythological that's cool, but this is actually the story. This is the present. It feels like the Kieran Gillen stuff feels like you're sort of reading a tome about what's going on. Reading the Bible of this story, while this is like you're living it. And so I like this. I like the way they beat Nimrod, a villain who is very impossible to kill, and the way it was cracked here, literally, I thought was very cool. I like giving Cyclops some juice, a character that I feel like only gets shit on, not only on this podcast, but in every recent iteration of so many X-Men things. It's like Cyclops is having a bad time.
What are you talking about, dude? Everybody loves Cyclops. X-Men 97 is a love letter.
Don't.
X-Men 97 is a love letter to Cyclops, bro.
It is, but a lot of the reaction to X-Men 97 that I've seen is, wow, I never liked Cyclops before I watched this series.
Yeah.
So people are right there with you on that. What do you think, Pete, as a hater?
Well,
I guess I'd say.
First off, it makes it harder when you guys point out all the negative things that I'm about to say about a book, and then let me talk. It kind of takes the wind out of my sails a little bit.
Because you're about to say them exactly word for word, what we just said.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that
I would challenge you, if we know your opinion before you say it, I would challenge you to find a deeper understanding. Because it feels like you're walking in with a hate of Cyclops. So then what's different about this book that is either worsening that take or maybe even making it better?
Well, first off, challenge accepted. But let me give my initial notes and feelings anyway. Here we go. Okay, so first off, it starts with quoting Nimrod, which is not going to get me anywhere. That's just that you're quoting a villain to start your book.
Now I feel bad. I got you a quotable Nimrod. book.
What a shitty way to start your day. How you look in the calendar for the quote of the day. Yeah, what a crappy way to do that.
I'll kill you, X-Men, says Nimrod again on May 26th.
And then you got Nimrod like stopping to compliment Cyclops in the middle of a battle. Boo. That was ridiculous. Nimrod.
He's that good.
First off, nobody cares what you think. All right. And then secondly, you're fighting. Don't be like, Scott, I've always thought you were like one of the more powerful X-Men. It's a real. I'm like, what is happening right now? Great use of Storm, though. I thought that was really awesome. And then, everybody's got to be so excited that Kuroka is back. You know what I mean? Krakoa, yeah. Fuck
that
Island.
Was ominous because for anybody listening, I don't know if I don't remember which issue this was in, but Apocalypse has been killing people to power Krakoa. So when Apocalypse shows up, it's like, great, more blood for Krakoa. I was like, oh no, no.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, so happy you guys are here. This island's really gonna be happy you guys are here. It's not gonna feed off of you or anything.
So I really like that moment. I would also throw out the Storm showing up moment, like you said, was phenomenal.
Very good.
Hey, I'm almost done here.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then, you got the powerful ending where just Scott thinks about Jean. Oh, just so glad I could be in his head for that. You know what I mean? Wow.
Just unnecessary.
Storm stuff is great. I love the prominence. Even though I need to be sold a little bit on the next era of X-Men, and I know this is jumping ahead, but seeing this moment with her here, knowing that she's going to be added to the Avengers, getting her own solo title, I'm like, yes, great. That is such a no-brainer. Storm is such a good character. And every time she shows up, I'm like, fuck yes, bring on Storm. This is awesome. Yep. So that was very good. I will say, as much as I love Lucas Werneck and Stefano Caselli's art, there's a lack of backgrounds in this book that feels a little rushed to me. Like, there's a lot of washes.
You don't know what it's like out there, man. All right. Sometimes you get really busy and you got to crank out a bunch of art, and the backgrounds are
I know
first
you're joking,
to go, right?
but yes. But I'm saying from a comic reader perspective, this doesn't lead to a very rich reading experience in terms of what?
It's so interesting. I didn't see that at all. I feel like the panels are actually pretty busy. They're very there's busy, a lot of energy.
But there's like the characters and then colors in the background, and that's pretty much it. The other thing, and this is a personal thing, there's nothing about the book. I like Nimrod better when he is one thing. That to me is the scary thing about him. The Sentinels are many things. Nimrod is one Sentinel, and I think the thing that makes him scary is like he is the ultimate Sentinel. So having him in multiple places, I feel like diffuses his power a little bit, but it's not a big deal. I'm not.
Well, they sort of do. It's an Ultron tactic, is what Nimrod has been using. But I think Nimrod's been using that just in the last. That's what in X-Men '97, Nimrod was like, "Oh, you beat this body, but I'm out of here." And I think that's just what Nimrod has become in the internet era.
I just wanted to say, Zalvin, when you start a sentence with "I like Nimrod," I just check out after that. So
I do like Nimrod. If you, so viscerally picture. I'm forgetting the name of the character, but Nimrod killing the member of the Hellfire Club in Central Park in the classic Chris Claremont.
Yeah.
I think it's Mark Silvestri issue that like terrified me as a kid.
Yeah.
And completely sold me on that character. So like, yes.
Well, and think about what Nimrod was then was like a Sentinel that wasn't like a clunky about to fall apart robot that you could just slash with your adamantium claws once and it was over. Nimrod was sleek and deadly. And I think that's been diffused a little bit, but I know you don't like the name Nimrod, Pete, but it's still a good, if you can, I don't know if it's possible to get past like a goofy name, like if you would feel punished by the name Nimrod, I feel like you could move past it potentially.
Yeah, well, I can't.
You could take someone seriously whose name is like Punisher. Someone who's like, I'm Punisher.
No problem. Yeah,
my name is
Nimrod.
Punisher. Nimrod, that's crazy. Can't tolerate it.
I can't. The person's name is Nimrod. I can't take you seriously. Your name is ridiculous.
Or a character whose name is something salmon do when they're having sex with each other. Spawn, and you're like, oh man, that's
fine.
cool.
It is
I
cool.
love that guy.
Yeah, awesome. It's hard to swim
Spawn,
upstream. I get it.
Punisher.
Yep, great names.
You can't handle Nimrod though.
I can't.
Very curious to see how this all wraps up. Let's move on to another thing that
Do you
is
mean
wrapping
our
up.
Conversation, Alex, or did you mean the issue?
All of that. Alan
Green
Scott,
Lantern.
The Green Lantern, #6 from DC Comics, written by Tim Sheridan, art by Cian Tormey. This is the final issue of this book as Green Lantern Alan Scott teams up with his ex-lover, the Red Lantern, back in time, and in our regular time, continues to confess to, it turns out, his son, Obsidian, about how he is gay, why he had his kids.
The story of his life, really.
Story of his
in
life.
a great way.
Oh my God, this series was so good. This punched so far above its weight. I cannot believe it. Up until the last issue, that got me emotionally multiple times while I was reading it, with the reveal of Obsidian in particular, the final moments with Red Lantern and Green Lantern. The action was great throughout. This was pretty much a perfect comic book series, and if you did not pick it up, go back, find the issues, pick it up and trade, whatever you have to do. I was blown away by this, and this is easily... I know the whole JSA Golden Age thing got a little stymied for a variety of reasons, but this is 100% the standout of that era. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I agree.
Oh, go ahead.
I love this as well. Like, this was from just an action superhero storytelling point of view to taking a character that was one of the Green Lanterns, a character that was like, oh, there's that one that's sort of not a part of the rest of them, but still has a ring and does stuff, and making him one of the most like specifically told stories and origins and lives that you see in all of the DC comic line. Like, it's just a great world that's been built around Alan Scott throughout this title. I thought it was great on every front, and I agree with you. This is a perfect trade to pick up and just enjoy top to bottom.
Yeah, from start to finish, this does such a great job executing an idea that is not only well done, but done with care. If you would have said to me, like, hey, there's this really amazing Alan Scott Green Lantern book, I would have said, I don't care. But this really is worth checking out. It's impressive. It's a great kind of story that's told about love, and, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just a great, great story. So well done. Well done for putting this together in such a great way.
Yeah, this is really, really good. Definitely check this out if you didn't. I also want to give a shout out to Cian Tormey on the art. There's a little thing in terms of the design in this last issue where it felt like Alan Scott in the present picked up the beard that Red Lantern had in the past, which I hadn't picked up on before. And I was like, that's such a subtle thing to throw in there that I thought was very, very nicely done.
Very Russian beard.
Yes, very Russian
homage.
beard. Blood Hunt, #2.
Here we go. Let's go. Yeah. The blood block. Why don't we have a blood block? Come on, man.
We do have a blood block. We're going to be talking about Blood Hunt #2 from Marvel, written by Jed MacKay, art by Pepe Larraz, and Union Jack the Ripper, Blood Hunt #1 from Marvel, written by Cavan Scott, art by Kev Walker. I will note we read the regular edition of Blood Hunt, not the Red Band edition, so we have a gory, adults-only version with all you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm going to go pick it up, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. Anyway,
it comes with actual blood.
Oh, my God.
What?
It just leaks blood all over the comic.
I hear you have to pay extra for that.
You got to bag it. But if you bag it, then you get to take it home and put it in your body.
Was the comic book that actually had somebody's blood in it?
Sell it
or
store.
Was that? Oh my God. I feel like it was Squadron Supreme. It was Mark Grunwald or something. I don't know. I'll look that up. Anyway, in Blood Hunt #2, we're getting a lot of chess pieces moving around the board as the Avengers have been defeated by the Super Vampire Squad, which is definitely their actual name and not the Blood Coven. And meanwhile, Dracula and Bloodline have teamed up and they get involved. We're also catching up with Doctor Strange, who, depending on which version you're reading, has either been stabbed through the middle or cut in half. Doesn't really matter because he's a ghost here. So
controversial thing in the news this week, if we want to talk about that for a second. Slight spoiler here, but in the main Blood Hunt #1, Doctor Strange stabbed, impaled.
Right.
In the red band, he is cut in half. And we've had an ongoing debate in our Patreon Slack, plus there's plenty more people talking about it online, where it's like a big deal. And I think Alex and I are on opposite sides of this. Alec, mad that it's different. Me,
livid.
I know. Me, super chill, very, very good vibes. Love it's fine if there's an extra slice. They stabbed and sliced in the red band. In the regular one, they just stabbed.
My problem stems from the ongoing nature of the event. The fact that Blood Hunt #1 came out. Then we followed up the next week with Doctor Strange, where Doctor Strange was still stabbed through the middle. That led directly into, I think it was Strange Academy Blood Hunt #1, where again we followed up on the end of Doctor Strange. So we now had 3 issues that have followed this continuity. Tom Brevoort, editor, has assured that when you pick up Blood Hunt #2 Red Band, it all makes sense and it's not a big deal and don't worry about it. So maybe they have a scene in Blood Hunt 2 Red Band where he's like, and glued back together, and now you're a ghost, and here we go, and we're catching up to the continuity with Doctor Strange. But otherwise, it doesn't make sense, because the way that the events work, and the way that, for example, this non-Red Band Blood Hunt #2 that we read works, is it does not pick up directly at the end of Blood Hunt #1. It jumps ahead past all the spin-offs and tie-ins, because that's how comic book events work. So we'll have to see how it happens in the Red Band version. We haven't read it yet, but I don't know.
I just think the whole point of the Red Band, point of the Red Band is it's going to be a little different. That's what you're paying for, quite literally.
Yeah, but there's a different. It's a different action, and it's different consequences.
Blood hunt. You got to hunt for the blood.
My point being that, like, okay, I'll give you an example. In Blood Hunt #1 non-Red Band version, Thor gets impaled through the head, right, by the Blood Coven.
Right.
Red Band version, if we saw that not in silhouette like we do in the regular version, but like he's impaled and he's like blood is dribbling out of his mouth or whatever, that to me is like, okay, that's his eyeballs are popping out. Yeah, totally. Like,
well, what about the eyeballs?
Like sticking in his
but what
head.
about the eyeball continuity?
Sif is like gnawing out his ear or whatever, and you're like, what the fuck, Sif? What are you doing? My point being, Pete is doing a very good job of derailing me to the point of our podcast. But my point being that, like, if there's a continuity of action and you're just extending it, I get it. If you're doing a different action that has different consequences, it's a different story.
Well,
I think his body's dead either which way.
You don't think it's okay to be like, okay, this person gets stabbed in the regular comic book, but for the bloody version of this story, we're going to get a little bit more elaborate with how they're cut up? I think that's, an unreasonable thing.
I think if he got stabbed through the middle and you saw, like, I don't know, his heart at the end of the sword or whatever.
Nam Shibai style?
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, okay, that's the same action. That's the same thing you're doing, but you're making it grosser and it's fine.
Here's the thing, though. I guess technically...
Yeah, you're just making it grosser. What's wrong with that? It's a red band.
It's not grosser. It's Doctor
Cutting
Strange
someone in half is grosser.
Doctor Strange recovering from a wound that multiple people have survived from in many, many movies versus being like, I cut him his half and his intestines are leaking out.
Don't bring the reality of surviving from being impaled by a vampire stab.
Let's talk
as
about
a
this
mystical
scientifically.
doctor.
Yeah.
Well, but I guess what I'm saying is you didn't read the Red Band issue of Doctor Strange because it doesn't exist, where he was cut in half, and that continuity is maybe slightly different. Mm-hmm. And I do think Tom Brevoort's statement was a little bit like, hey, chill out, guys. And that's like a little condescending.
Yeah.
But I do agree, like, hey, it's like the point is it's going to be a little bit different. And that's not going to be a major factor in the storytelling. Mm-hmm. It's just for the gross extra blood.
But I would like to say that I enjoyed this issue, Blood Hunt. Blood Hunt. it's an enjoyable blood hunt, and I'm not over the blood hunt. I'm thinking Marvel is doing a great job with this event, and maybe some people are upset about them turning up the violence in a Red Band issue, but I don't see the issue.
They're not set up anyway. I don't need to belabor this point.
Okay,
what are we talking about?
But I'm trying to say about the things I like that happen in this issue. I really love the flexing that Blade does, and I think that there was like this really kind of interesting moment with Black Panther in this, and the way he talks about his daughter, and it's I just think that they're putting some nice layers on some things that I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I mean, there is a lot of blood and gore, and it's fun to see Dracula and vampire hunting and all that cool stuff. And having extra bloody versions of things is also very cool. But the heart and they're also telling a cool story, which I'm excited about.
Great Pepe Larraz art. I do think Blade's daughter becoming the sort of main focus of the story is very cool. A character that felt like sort of just an extension of the Blade mythology before this event. I think that's really great. I like that the Avengers got a little bit of a win in here in the middle of, after they just got totally wrecked last issue. And a nice, horrifying last page reveal. Can't wait to see how many teeth the character has that'll bother Alex in the Red Band version of the comic.
We'll see what happens.
Too many teeth, he says.
Union Jack!
Union Jack the Ripper, a title that I guarantee you only exists because they thought it was a funny title. But happily, it has Kevin Scott, great writer, and Kev Walker, great artist on it. What did you guys think about this issue?
Yeah, I think this was a lot of fun. You kind of got the anti-hero kind of version of Union Jack here. I think that's a fun choice. He's kicking butt, saving the day. I love the art. I love the tone. I think this is a blast. More, please.
If the main title is like the splashy splatter vampire movie, this is sort of the 28 Days Later version of Blood Hunt, which I think is cool. A lot more conversation, character-driven. Feels like it's using zombie movie logic for a vampire story in a great way. I thought the art was cool. I like this a lot.
The Butcher's Boy, #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Landry Q. Walker and panel art by Panel Vaughn.
Panel, what a great comic name.
There you go.
Yeah, right?
So this is following a bunch of folks who are kind of friends, kind of frenemies, who travel to a small remote town for a influencer-style vacation. I loved the beginning of this book in particular, which lays out the timeline of what happens with setting up. You get set up of our characters like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where they were as normal people, and then you see Saturday, where everything has gone horribly wrong in a
tough weekend.
Absolutely epic way. And then we cut back to essentially 24 hours earlier. Halfway through the book, structure of this was great. Like, as a horror movie, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before, where it just gives up the ghost at the beginning and is like, yep, all these folks are going to die. It's terrible. This is horrible.
They're all going to die.
Well, whatever is happening here, it's absolutely horrible. Things are happening to them, and it gives this ticking time bomb of a clock. Then we spend the second half of the issue getting to know these characters who are all terrible people, and we kind of want to see them die. So
that's
great horror movie setup. Very into this. What did you guys think?
Well,
good.
I just want to say, first off, insane cover. Love the cover. Insane cover gets you hyped for what's inside. The problem that I have with the twist, right, is you learn that they're douchebags, and then it's like, well, now I'm not rooting for them. Now I'm rooting for them to die, which is a little bit of like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? But it is very interesting, and it is fun to see the the old, oh man, my Wednesday was stressful, but not as stressful as Saturday. So yeah, I thought that was fun, kind of little windows into the lives and a creative way to tell an idea. But the problem is the twist reveal means that I'm not rooting for anybody.
Here's the thing, like, I wouldn't call them, they're not like monsters. They're just, everyone has issues with each other. And so they start bickering a little bit, but they're not, they're like, I think they're still likable despite the fact that one guy's being sort of a dick about the girl he has a crush on. And one girl's wrapped up in her
disgusting. Phone. They're not like us, perfect angels of humor.
Yeah, that's, well, and I do agree with you. This sort of like, in the same way that like Rogue One, you go into that story being like, well, this is a sad story where these people are all going to die, and you know that the minute you turn on the movie.
Sure.
Yeah. Titanic. Titanic. And the way that we get, like you're saying, Alex, their introduction, their maybe not death, but like horrifying moments is great. And I'm surprised I haven't really seen that in a horror movie. Yeah. This comic is a horror movie waiting to happen.
Great stuff. Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider #1 from Marvel. Written by Stephanie Phillips, art by Frederica Manson. In this issue, Spider-Gwen, to be clear, has ended up in the main 616 for unknown reasons. She's working with Obi of the TVA per TV, but also...
from TV!
From TV, from your TV.
Just like MASH.
Just like MASH. She's been told to not be a superhero, but that doesn't last very long as she goes on various adventures here. What did you guys think about this one?
I love Spider-Gwen. I love
that's nice.
I love the story that was I love the story that was set in her.
How nice for you.
Her dimension. What are you, my grandparents? My two granddads? I love the original series by I want to say Robbie Rodriguez. Really great stuff. In this, I like with this Gwen being in the 616 universe. I think it's smart. I just think put her in any other city than New York. Like, it feels like, she even talks about it, like, there are too many spider people here. And it feels like very much like the Bat family. And I think the Bat family does a great job of everyone getting a little bit of their own universe. Nightwing has Bloodhaven, all of that. And they come together sometimes, but each have their own domain. I want Spider-Gwen to be in Seattle or wherever, where it could be like on a bridge there and be like, you know what, bridges, not great for me. My vibe is anti-bridge, and we see a flash of the 616 Gwen Stacy dying on the Brooklyn Bridge, and then we move into her own realm. But this feels like it's too close.
I agree with what JT is saying a little bit. The start of this is harsh, man. You're starting with the death of Gwen Stacy, and that is a tough place to start. But then you get the Craven, the Hunter here. I just don't know, like, it's tough, man. It's not easy to kind of get on board. Is great art, interesting storytelling and stuff like that, but it's also a little bit like, oh man, what are we doing?
This feels a little to me like the Power Girl, Supergirl stuff that's going on in DC, where I don't need to read a story where somebody's like, whoo, a lot of me out there. Who am I differently? Just give me the mission statement. Give me what is different about this person right off. And I understand character growth is part of fiction, and I get that. I'm not dismissing that. I do think Stephanie Phillips is a good writer. I think the art is good here. There's a good cliffhanger towards the end of this issue where Spider-Gwen just cannot deal with the intensity of the 616. But what made her special and unique was being in her own universe and bringing her into the 616 and throwing her with a bunch of spider people makes her not quite as punk rock, not quite as interesting, and it's a bummer.
Well, and that series was, Jason Latour actually was on it for a long time as well. He sort of, I think, started it. It was punk rock, and that's why I think putting her in a different place and letting her ease into the 616 or have 616 come to her, I think would be great. And that's My only complaint is the location, because I actually think everything else is cool. I think the character's well done here, and the story's interesting. The art's fantastic. I just feel like it's too... The story seems worried about Gwen's place in the 616 New York, and that makes us feel the same way.
Green Lantern War Journal #9 from DC Comics, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Montos. In this issue, John Stewart is still off in space. Meanwhile, the figment that he has created of his sister to guard his mom is protecting her back on Earth. Now, I'll mention we have found out recently this book is ending in August, so is rapidly heading towards its conclusion. That all said, what did you guys think about this one?
Well, do you guys have a war journal? And what are you writing about in it?
War, obviously.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Nice, your own personal battles.
I wrote about World War One, mostly like fan fiction.
Oh, nice. Oh, a little retro.
Yeah.
Don't want to touch that.
Struggles with donuts.
Yeah. Like, what was Franz Ferdinand thinking, you know?
That's good.
Wow.
Oh, you're really getting Franz Ferdinand's head. Mm-hmm. The Archduke.
Yes, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, whose assassination kicked off World War One. I just want to make
Don't have to tell me. I've read your journal. But what I like about Green Lantern War Journal, he takes copious notes, first off. But Philip Kennedy Johnson he's just great at building out the sort of mythology around whatever story he's telling. This is a very space rooted Green Lantern story with a complicated group of people that are fighting, and then this really dark story happening at home around John Stewart's family, and it's just really well done. And it's hyper specific. I'm glad that I don't like that this book is ending, but it feels like PKJ is going to get time to finish up this arc at least.
Yeah, I mean, amazing art, epic. I mean, just I love the storytelling. It's really impressive what's going on. But I am worried about the mom and the little girl here, and things are not getting better. So I'm getting a little scared, but yeah, sad to hear that this is ending.
Cobra Commander.
A wise man once said, just read the next issue.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll just do that then.
Alex was the wise one.
Can I go?
Oh, is it frustrating when you're trying to do something and people are interrupting you?
Just a little bit. Cobra Commander #5 from Image Comics and Skybound, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Andrea Malata. This is the final issue of this title, as Cobra Commander builds up a little organization, and this is going to shock you, called Pete?
Cobra.
What? Oh.
Yeah. Don't get your insurance from Cobra. They're not legit.
In this issue, Destro visits Cobra Commander and finds out all about the organization. We also get a little check-in with Cobra Law and what they're doing.
Cobra la 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 la.
Pete, what you think?
Yes, this is a ton of fun. I mean, you got Cobra Commander finally teaming up with Destro to get this Cobra thing up and going. This little baby of an idea that's going to take over the world in the worst possible way. And Cobra the Law realizes Cobra Commander's turned on them, so that's not going to go over well, especially when Nemesis Enforcer finds out that dude's pretty badass. This clicks like a lot of nerd buttons for me, and I'm having way too much fun being like Destro, this is a blast.
And sorry, just to check, just a clarification, because you know about this stuff. So there's Destro and Cobra Commander. They both have metal masks, but they're different characters. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, everybody.
One has a face.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Just because you have a metal mask doesn't mean you're the same as somebody else, man. People are different.
How did that happen? That seems repetitive.
Just a mix-up?
Yeah.
Maybe sort of seek out a friend.
I think what happened is, sometimes people are like, man, what's a badass thing that I can do that can instill fear? Oh, I can wear a metal mask.
Right. And they created 2 of them for the action figures? That seems... again,
when you have a great idea, double down.
I gotta say, speaking of great ideas, the fact that Cobra Commander is like, I'm creating an organization. My name is Cobra Commander. I guess I'll call it Cobra so I can command it. It's like if my name was Comic Book Club Commander, and I was like, you know what I'm starting? A comic book club.
That would be a little too on the nose, man. Yeah.
No, that's what my thoughts on the Cobra Commander.
Well, and come on, this started in the 80s. It gets a pass.
Well, and let me say, like, I do think I like this issue. It's fun, but it just highlights how insane the story of Cobra Commander and this whole thing
story
is.
Based on toys? Yes.
Well, but I guess I was never exposed to G.I. Joe, wasn't allowed to watch it. So Cobra Law is so weird. Because Cobra Commander is like, I'm a weird, campy maniac, and I'm starting an international terrorist organization. You want to come join it? Beefhead character from another part of the world? Another, like, whole... take on
I don't know why this is weird to you, but places have different people and they have different kind of ideas of what they should be doing. And yes,
100%.
One group is an evil group that's called Cobra, and then there's another group called Cobra Law, and they're both evil in different
Cobra
ways.
Law lives in a sperm that's going into space to kill the Transformers? Is that what's happening?
My God, that's they have different shells that do different things,
I'm sorry, but in the normal world, it's a flying
sperm.
Seems
like it's a large sperm.
And it's going to go hit up like the Transformers egg or whatever and make a fun baby.
Oh, my God.
But what I'm saying is, like, in the real world, Cobra Law should be the a cappella group that performs at Cobra headquarters. It's the only way that this...
See, that's the thing. G.I. Joe Cobra Law is the more badass. Cobra is kind of like, we're kind of bad, but we're easily defeated. Cobra Law is like, they take it to another level of evil.
Why does Cobra Commander, the most evil one, dress like Carmen Sandiego?
Because he's got style.
Nice. And Destro dresses like, I don't know, Craven the Hunter. That's why I'm like, with these guys hanging out together, like, what are they talking about?
Why at no point in the issue were Destro and Cobra Commander like, we both have metal masks. That's pretty weird.
Where do you get yours cleaned? Yeah. Cleaned? Mine's rusty on the inside. Like, oh, bro, you got to clean that. And Cobra Law, meanwhile, are in space like, we're snakes. Time to go to Cybertron.
Yeah, man.
That's the thing is, like, how are these people related?
You think it's crazy, but I think it's very exciting and a lot of fun.
100% clear. I love that these books are selling. I love that they exist.
Me too.
It's great for comics. That
great teams on them.
We have Marvel, DC, and the Energon universe. That's awesome. These are ridiculous. Fun. But at the same time, it is like, what's happening here? And we'll talk about Void Rivals in a second. Where
oh yeah, come on.
Also insane. But like truly, if I picked up this issue first and was like, what is G.I. Joe? And it's like this sort of intense story about this, and then there's a black panel and then it just says Cobra Law, and then it cuts to snake people in space, I would be like, what the fuck? Is this another issue? Is this another
First off, why would you pick it up in the middle like this? I mean, it would start with number one. Don't pick up number 5.
Every issue is somebody's first issue.
Exactly.
Sure. Yes. Sure.
And just to be clear, I've read every issue of this and most comics in general, and I still was like, what?
What? It's a cartoon, man. You don't know the origin.
You act like the cartoon was the Rosetta Stone for understanding this.
It was.
It's not like in the so the cartoon justifies all of these choices. I'll believe it when I don't see it.
I'll tell you what. Watch the first season, then come
they
back at
the stone from Jesus'
me.
cave after 3 days. He's like, let me just real quick explain Cobra Law.
yeah, exactly.
See, now I'd go to church if they did that shit. I'd love to hear Jesus' take on Cobra Law.
Oh, man, it'd be fun. Hey, I'm patiently waiting to talk about one of my favorite comics that came out this week.
Sensational She-Hulk #8 from Marvel, written by Rainbow Rowell, art by Andre Genolette. Jack of Hearts and She-Hulk are still on a mini break off in space, and they have met, and this isn't exactly correct, but essentially Jack of Hearts' ex-girlfriend.
Yeah,
there's a lot of romantic shenanigans going on here. Pete, take it away.
Oh my God, I'm so happy with the way they did this. I saw the cover Great cover, but I was very distraught by that because I was like, oh my God, they're standing like away from each other. They're kind of close, but there's a coldness between them that I don't like, and I read into that way too much. But then I read the issue, and it was the opposite. It was glorious, and oh my God, so touching and so happy. They talk things out, and they both love each other, and I couldn't control myself. This was just so well done and so earned. The will they, won't they for the lead up for this really makes it all pays off here in this ish. And yeah, I was geeking out here. I'm having a blast with this. The art's unbelievable. The story's great. The Hellcat, has the best pickup line maybe ever. All I've ever wanted is someone walk up to me and say, "Do you like cake?" You know what I mean? Come on.
Would you take that as a pickup line if someone said that to you?
Oh man.
Unless it was coming from a cake. Your ideal partner is a cake. I mean, the way that the art's fantastic, but the way that Rainbow Rowell's able to just tell, this is romance comics distilled down into a perfect. Tom King in the book he's doing about that is reinvigorating romance comics. This is what's actually doing it. Tom King's doing something great over there, but it's something else, and this is the epitome of rom-com and romantic comics in the superhero genre being told here. It's fun. You see love on the page. There's great, I love the Hellcat stuff at the end, like Pete's saying, is so good. It's just sensational to take it from the
It kind of reminds me of something that the T-shirt that you're wearing. I mean, it feels as epic as an Archie kind of will they, won't they story, and it's done really well.
Will they?
I agree with you guys. I don't have anything to add other than this is fantastic. And this is, if you have any interest in romance or rom-coms or anything like that, pick this up. Andre Genolet's art is great as well. The expressions are wonderful. Nightwing, number 114 from DC Comics, written by Tom Taylor. Art by Bruno Redondo. This is the kickoff of the final arc from this team on Nightwing that shockingly is called Fallen Grayson and not actually Nightwing Can't Jump, which is a really huge bummer for me personally.
Wow, that's good.
Thank you. But we're jumping into two time periods. One, we're sort of not at the end of the story, but we're following Dick Grayson as he and Bitewing, I believe is his dog, are traveling through a snowy wasteland, presumably to go to some sort of guru who's going to help him fix the fact that he can't jump anymore. Meanwhile, we're finding out how Heartless took over, in this issue, Gotham and decredited Nightwing. Great. I don't know. This is great. The end.
Continues to be great. So disappointed that this is the last we're going to get from this team, but I can't wait to just go on this final ride with them.
I've been having a blast with this arc, with everything that's been going on up in Nightwing. This issue, though, hit me a little different. This villain, I don't like this villain. I know you're not supposed to like this villain, but I was just like, this is a little too fucked up, having the kids in that room and all that kind of shit. That creepy blonde guy was a little too much for me, so I wasn't having as much fun, but man, this comic is great.
Sort of a Nimrod type villain, you're saying?
That's a very complex kind of thing, but I don't like the villain. Let's just kind of basically, yes.
Yes, and Blow Away, number 2 from Boom Studios, written by Zach Thompson, art by Nicola Izzo. This is essentially, it hit me in this issue, this is essentially like Rear Window, but on Rear Window meets Cliffhanger, is I guess.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Where there's somebody who's doing a scientific study on a mountain. She may or may not have seen a murder and continues to investigate it in this issue. The real standout to me here continues to be Nicola Izzo's art, which real good. Like the snowy wastelands are great. The switching perspectives are great. It's hard to make video footage feel dynamic in the middle of a comic book, but it absolutely does here.
Yeah, you're right. That is a good call. It's impressive the way that that's done here in a way that doesn't kind of feel weird or doesn't communicate well, but it does. I am really impressed with this book. It continues to be really a fun thriller. I mean, the kind of walls are kind of closing in on our main character here, and police aren't very helpful.
Great takeaway. I agree with you. I like this. It just does a great job of building tension. These first two issues, I'm curious to see how the trap is going to get sprung a little bit as the action comes closer to our nature photographer. But a lot of great slow boiling water here.
Yeah.
The Immortal Thor, number 11 from Marvel, written by Al Ewing, art by Valentina Pinti. In this issue, Thor and all of his siblings are gathering together to deal with some issues and some problems that ties into Gods, titled by Jonathan Hickman and Valeria Sheedy, of all things. It sounds like from the live show where we were talking about it, maybe we have some mixed opinions on this. I really like this. I in particular really liked how Al Ewing continues to delve through the history of myths and how they change over time by working in variations and characters that are not part of the Marvel Comics canon, but are part of the Norse myths canon, and how we get a god of poems who is taking over the narration from Loki, the god of stories. I had a fun time reading this, but Justin, curious to hear from you.
I hear you. That stuff is cool.
Get him, Justin. Get him.
If I didn't know better, I feel like this comic would be introducing like a line of toys. Like it feels like pivoting off of our Cobra Commander conversation. Feels like we're introducing a bunch of characters and like, look, this guy's cool. This character is cool. And I was like, are they? What's happening? Like, I didn't understand why they were there. I like the idea of Loki having a rival narrator type. But I was like, especially on the heels of the last two issues, which I was into this thing of like Thor being sort of forced into a dumb action star, getting accused of murder, caught red-handed. I thought that was super interesting last issue. This issue literally drops all of that. There's a whole section where they're like, good thing you got out of Earth, because Midgard's, you're going to lock you up if you ever come back here. And he's like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that for a while. I was like, that's the story we like. Why are you sitting around with a bunch of other randos? Like, and Angela is a character that was introduced in the Marvel Universe. I like the spot she's carved out in the sort of Asgardian universe. But like, what are we all doing here? It just doesn't, I don't know why. And it feels random that we told these last two issues that were interesting and both big swings from an idea perspective. This feels like a smaller swing in a totally different direction that I don't understand what the running thread is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where it's going to feel better as we keep reading, because right now it's a little head scratchy. I agree. I mean, we're watching Thor have a Zoom call with Cap Falcon here, and I'm just kind of like, well, what? All right, cool.
I'd love to be on that call.
I'm glad you guys are staying in touch and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, it's just you got this dude who shows up there, and, he's going to – I was like, oh, man, we're going to have a narrator off. Maybe that'll be fun, but that's not what we're doing. So, I don't know. I'll be excited once something happens in the next issue to see kind of what we were doing. But right now it just feels a little weird.
All right, there we go. Superman number 14 from DC Comics, written by, once again, Joshua Williamson, art by Rafa Sandoval and Miguel Mendoza. In this issue, Lobo and Superman are coming to blows, and Brainiac's plan is revealed, though his plan was actually revealed months ago, if you've been reading solicitations and teasers and text and other things.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not. This is
Nerd
not a flex.
flexing. You're nerd flexing. Yeah, you are.
Absolutely not.
That's a paying attention flex.
Yes, we find out that Brainiac's plan, which somebody calls out as a stupid plan, is to make the Brainiac Queen a insatiably hungry creature who eats all the Lobos in the universe at the end.
Interesting choice if you're building a queen to have her just be hungry. Not a quality I would think would make a ton of sense. I think that's cool. I'm surprised it feels very Aliens, the way they've gone with this. It feels like a queen alien.
Right, I see that now.
When it could be, like, he doesn't seem to be building a partner, if that's what Brainiac is after. It seems like he's building a monster that will then probably kill him or something.
Yeah, I think this is. I'm having fun with the Lobos and Superman having to work together. Then the Lobos kind of betraying Superman, and you see that kind of coming. But I like all the twists and turns, and I feel like this is a great package. You got a great team on this, so yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm curious to see if this actually wraps it up, because what we're told in this issue very specifically is that Brainiac has gaps in his memory. There are things that have been taken away from him. And his reaction is to build this Brainiac Queen. We don't know why. So there's more information that needs to be known there. But also, who took these memories from Brainiac? Why are they gone? So my expectation was this storyline was everything that Joshua Williamson is building up to. But now, given this issue, it feels like there's another story to tell. This is like the second act in whatever is going on.
And to me, it feels like we're getting toward the Legion. And I don't know if that's, there's just small clues. So that's exciting to me, because I love the Legion characters. That's cool. If there's like a darkness there that is brewing, we get Vril Dox in this issue. The other thing, especially in light of the Green Goblin stuff we were talking about, Lex Luthor here, who's riding with Supergirl, and you're like, when he gonna be evil again? Like, you know it's coming, right? So like but he's very much seems like he's like, no, I'm here with you trying to fix this. So I don't know.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. Speaking of which, Superior Spider-Man #7 from Marvel, written by Dan Slott and Christos Gage, art by Mark Bagley. In this issue, Spider-Boy has been taken over by the brain patterns, I guess, of Dr. Octopus, and is using spiders to infect literally everybody in the entire world. That's what both Doc Ock, kind of, and Spider-Man specifically are fighting against. We have one more issue left of this title, which is interesting. I kind of expected it was an ongoing, but what did you guys think?
Well, I'm a little over spidered. Like, I read this in a different order, and this was like the fourth Spider-Man title. So I was a little kind of like
spider tired.
I'm spider tired, but I did think it was funny the way they said this is the Otto Octavius Empire, and then they had all their heads next to the Empire State Building. So you see what they did there with the Empire and the Empire. You know what I mean?
Nice. Wow, what a classic New Yorker you are.
Yeah.
What's your favorite place to go in New York, Pete? The Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty, or Times Square?
I would say you keep going up into Rochester, New York, and you go to Empire Hots, where they got a pretty sweet garbage plate. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Really turned the page on that one. Really gotcha. This issue, it's just like Dan Slott is just it's like his own corner of the universe, and he's heightening to the point where I'm like, what's the next Slott move? He's eating everything that he loves on the table. He's putting it all on the page, and that's what more can you ask for from a
He's having a blast, and it's fantastic art.
Yeah. Very fun. A lot of spiders.
As we mentioned earlier, Void Rivals #10 from Image Comics and Skybound, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Lorenzo Di Felici. We're following two characters who are not that different, let's be honest, who are traveling through a wasteland. They bump into a transformer and somebody tries to kill them, but the transformer fights them, the guy who's trying to kill them, and that's the issue. Pete, you said come on, so come on, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, this rocks. This is really a lot of fun. You got the quintessence, from the Transformers movie, the multi-faced kind of Decepticons there. And so, I just think it's, and then you got the fun Scarlet backup story there.
Not actually part of the issue.
That's
it's
an
in there.
advertisement.
It's in there.
I will say it is good, but that is definitely an ad.
But yeah, I like this. I mean, we got people working together here, and you got Autobots and people working. So this is interesting. I like what's happening.
What are you talking about? People working?
Yeah, people working together. You got the
there's
Autobots,
like
people
characters
stabbed.
doing stuff, and they're singing along, and
It's a talking hand, and
Pete, it's okay. Maybe
there's
you're
multiple
not,
pages in this issue, and it has a cover and a back page, and
maybe you because all those things you said are true, but maybe you might think what I'm thinking a little bit. I don't know what this comic is. Mm-hmm. It feels a little bit like I like the Autobot with a sword is cool. I like the Handroid. Handroid's fun.
Right.
But otherwise I'm like, what is this? What is this? And it just doesn't feel like there's enough of a spine to this story to really.
But there is fun cameos from the Transformers world that happens.
Can I throw out my
and that's
favorite
been the
scene
thing,
that I
the
think
jump.
is the best Robert Kirkman style scene in the issue is Pete, what's the name of the lizard guy?
Yeah, when he's sad.
Yeah, when he's sad. When he's like, honey, I'm home. Oh, there's nobody here. That to me.
Oh, yeah.
That feels like pulled straight out of Invincible. And
that's that like funny meme where it's like, honey, I'm home. And then it's like, oh, I forgot I'm single. You know what I mean?
No, yes, sure. It's a meme, but it's also like, that's exactly the sort of thing that Robert would do all the time, cutting in Invincible to be like, and here's 2 pages of what's going on with Alan the Alien. And that to me, I love that. It's incongruous with everything else that happens in the issue, but there's so much more character and feeling in those couple of pages than there is in anything else.
There's so much emotion there, and that was definitely my favorite part because the rest of it, I was like, everyone's, to your point, Pete, working, but I don't know what they're working toward. I don't know what the stakes are. It feels like this character's going to die. I'm like, no, she's not. She's the other character. So I was like, and then the Autobot shows up. I was like, what's this guy here for?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, we're going to get there. You know what I mean? It's a slow burn.
We just need another 30 issues. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Another 30 in, you guys will be like, oh, this all makes sense.
Yeah, 30 on 30. 30 on 30?
30 for 30.
30
Time for the blood hunt.
Yeah.
Turn for the blood hunt to The Last Hunt with Predator The Last Hunt #4 from Marvel, written by Ed Bryson, art by Francesco Bana. We've been following the character Theta as she's killed various predators all over the universe. Her hunt ends here.
Whoa.
Fights
Alex,
down
you all right?
a Omega Predator to save the life of 2 of her friends. Great issue. I hope her hunt doesn't end here because I love this character and I love everything that Ed Bryson has been doing with Predator. Very, very fun.
Agree. Like, this is to have a Predator of Predators that we buy and really back, I think is a hard thing to create. And I think Ed has done a great job of doing that here. And it's not, we get at the end for now at the end, Alex. So there may be more coming.
Yeah, I think this is really badass, and it's nice to see the human win. I just had such a great time with this. Really
versus
fantastic.
Every Predator movie.
Well, come on, man. I mean, a lot of people died. I just think that. That this
Pete,
is a great.
Wipe
great
that tear
package.
out of your eye before you go on.
Be respectful.
Really upset.
Be respectful.
Yeah,
A lot of humans died in those Predator movies.
Yeah.
Have you seen Prey? There were a lot of people who died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, Pete, as we do every episode, could you list the in memoriam characters from the Predator movies?
We had Jesse the Body Ventura. We got
God. You could say Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a ton of.
And that's how he died in real life. Rook Exodus #2.
Not cool, bro.
Written by
It's true, though.
Yeah, it is true.
He finished directing that episode of Mandalorian, and then he faced a predator.
He almost won, too. That's the coolest part.
He's very cool.
So cool.
Yeah, the predator bit his hand off like in Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Art by Jason Book. We are following a bunch of people on an alien planet that is slowly dying. They all have helmets that let them control animals. Will they make it off the planet? I guess we'll have to tune in to find out.
Well, you're laughing, but this is a ton of fun. I think it's, it is maybe a little silly, but I don't care. I think this is really badass and well drawn, and I love all the action and the intensity. I'm having a blast with this. I think it'd be cool if you put on a bear helmet, you could control all the bears.
That would be cool. What animal would you control if you could?
Here in New York, pigeons or rats, I get.
Ooh, rat.
Ants?
Rat catcher, too.
Cockroach.
Subways. I would put on the Subway helmet.
Subways, to be clear, sandwich shops.
Yeah. Wow. I'd be like, keep cranking out those meatball subs, guys. That's what I'd say in my head. My helmet.
Footlong cookie, here we come.
Get on a cicada helmet just to turn up that annoying noise.
Yeah. I to be clear, I was laughing because it's ridiculous when you explain it, but there's some cool action in here.
Yeah, there is.
I think Jason Book's art is a good superhero art. It is very Image Comics of the 90s.
Yes. Because that's what I was going to say is I agree. I like the ideas here. I just wish it's a little too cool for school, the way that the story is told, I think. And if we just hung out with the characters a little longer before they were like, oh man, I used to date her or whatever, it feels a little little.
Sometimes you got to throw a little 90s feel into it. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
I don't know. This is a outside thing. This is not fair to put on the book, but this is part of this Ghost Machine launch where they've been like, this has never happened before in the history of comics. This is a co-op with comic book creators. We all have an equal stake in this. Here we go. But the books don't feel revolutionary right now. They feel like Image Comics in the 90s done again. And there's a place for that, and I don't think it's badly done. But no. I do think what you need in the current comics atmosphere is something that feels revolutionary new. Otherwise, it's not going to hit. I don't know what the sales figures are. I guess we'll see. But that is my concern here with these people being like, here we go, Ghost Machine. Maybe it's not the time for that right now. I don't know.
Or just it's the change, change the goal a little bit. Hey, these are the comics that we've been dying to tell these stories of. If you love comics, for the last 30, 40 years, you're going to love this book or whatever. Rather than be we're finally changing the game. It feels like that's just a mislabeled mission statement.
Titans, number 11 from DC Comics, written by Tom Taylor, art by Lucas Meyer. In this issue, the team is fighting, I don't know, it's not exactly an adaptoid, but there is a woman who desperately wanted to be in the Titans. Years ago, she is woken up with all of their powers and tricked by Amanda Waller, of course, into taking her down. I do want to ask you guys about the big event in this issue that people have been super pissed about online, which is in the issue, Nightwing gets woken up by an alarm, heads into the main computer room, and finds a message that tells him to say Circ and R, which activates a partitioned part of his mind where it turns out he's investigating Raven, who has turned evil. People are pretty annoyed because they're sick and tired of the Zur and R stuff from Chip Zdarsky's run and everything else. How are you guys feeling about this?
I mean, it was pretty weird when you're just like going to say a word and then you're going to spend some panels in your own brain talking to yourself. You know what I mean? I wasn't like
I wish I could do that.
Geeked about it. But
I wish
really,
I could go just in
you could,
R.
You can just
like
you can just have a
just
conversation with yourself, man. You can just talk to yourself.
We're 5 minutes later in the podcast, actually.
Oh, what did I say?
You
Nothing.
didn't say
Did I
anything. You
have a
just
plan
were
to kill everybody?
You were
Some
staring
really
in your own
insulting
brain.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. When I read it, I was definitely surprised by it. But I like the second line that the Cirque and R partitioned place says is, "Don't worry, it's just a place for private consideration, not another personality. You haven't gone full Batman. Wink. Don't worry, readers." So, like, and from a perspective of Nightwing being the Batman of the Titans and being like, how do I protect this team from something that he perceives as a threat? Like, it's cool. It's just not a normal Nightwing thing to do. But it's Tom Taylor. You know, he's the Nightwing scribe. So,
I'll be positive and say I really liked it, and I liked it for a number of reasons. One, kind of what you were saying, Justin, in terms of Tom Taylor being like, yeah, Chip Zdarsky is doing this all the time over in Batman. I'm going to pick it up and find the Nightwing riff on it.
Yeah.
That's fine with me. And then the second thing, that Nightwing figuring out a more balanced way of doing it, and beyond that, that he is ahead of Raven. Like, the idea that Nightwing would not be ahead of Raven and nobody on the team would be like, Raven's our friend. Oops, she betrayed us and is killing us and trying to bring hell on Earth. That doesn't ring right for the modern comics era. So to have Nightwing be like, actually, I'm 2 steps ahead of you, but I got to be careful, and here's why I got to be careful, and here's why I don't actually know about this stuff, I thought was incredibly smartly done. I was very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean,
agreed.
Tom Taylor kicks ass, and so does this art.
Dr. Morrow saying, "Save the brain," I thought was cool, and I like the introduction of this Venadia character.
Yeah, I thought this issue was really good. I like this a lot more than the past couple of issues, to be frank. The Spectacular Spider-Man #3 from Marvel, written by Greg Weisman, art by Humberto Ramos. We're jumping around in a bunch of places, including Peter Parker being married to Gwen Stacy and having kids, Miles Morales going on a date with Kamala Khan and a bunch of other people, ultimately leading to the reveal of why this is all happening and the villains behind it. Pete, you're nodding your head, no, no, no. Is it actually yes, yes, yes? Or what?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we had this really sweet date. We had some fun wish fulfillment. Some people who were shipping, must have been super happy. And then at the end, they're like, it's all a fake because Arcade and Metallo are here to fuck shit up. So,
spoiler.
Mysterio. Whatever.
It was Mentallo.
Oh, Mentallo, sorry.
Mentallo, yeah. I just think it's, that twist at the end where you're like, fuck you, the reader who paid for this. And you're kind of like, that's me.
I don't think that to me, this wasn't tricking you. They lay it out. It's another interesting format because we're simultaneously watching them fall into the trap, and we're watching them sort of.
I wanted the date to happen, Justin. I wanted the date to be real.
I feel like you should have known it wasn't real when Spider-Man was married to Peter Parker was married to Gwen Stacy, who has been dead for like an entire generation at this point.
Sure.
So you want Miles to be dating Kamala?
I thought it was sweet.
It was very sweet.
Yeah.
This issue was very confusing to read. I'm glad they got to it at the end of the issue. I hope things are a little more straightforward next issue because this format is not working for me.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, shots fired.
And I hate comics.
It turns out.
Yeah.
Now there's a reveal.
Yeah.
Feral, number 3 from Image Comics, written by Tony Fleeks, art by Trish Forster and Tone Rodriguez. In this issue, our cats continue to look for a safe harbor in the middle of a rabies outbreak. They're being attacked by humans.
Man.
They're being attacked by other feral creatures, and they make a new friend, which is nice.
Oh, which is nice. But man, what a cute start to a total nightmare. You kind of got this cat who's like, oh, lasers, and then when their lasers attached to guns, man, that changes the mood quickly. So props for this comic, really messing with the reader in kind of fun and interesting ways. And it's kind of fucked up, but they do a great job with it, and the art is really fantastic, but it's also another dupe that gets you.
Really smartly done cat zombie story from top to bottom. I think Tony Fleeks is just doing a great job. The art is great. Very much just a fantastic follow-up to Stray Dogs, another fantastic comic.
Something is Killing the Children, number 37 from Boom Studios, written by James Tynion IV, art by Werther Del Daria. This is continuing the sort of like times past stories about Erica, giving us done and one adventures of her back in the day. Here she is trying to protect a kid and a bunch of people inside a department store. Pete, you seem pretty high on this, so take it away.
Hell yeah, this fucking rocks. This issue is awesome. I mean, this is such a badass issue. Art is amazing. I love the action, the pace of this. I love also the way that, grown-ups can't see monsters, you know what I mean? I think it's just such a cool way that they're playing with this. And, I'm just having such a blast with this. JT4 is the best of all the JTs. And I just said, did you catch that?
Fired.
Did you
maybe catch it? I'm listening to everything you say.
Oh, man.
Here.
Great art.
I agree with everything Pete said except for one thing. But this has been my favorite. These two issues, my favorite of this title in a long time. I love these standalone stories. I think they're good. I think it's Erica able to really just be in it in a way that I feel like has been harder for me to enjoy in the longer story arcs. More of this, I say yes.
The Forged, number 8 from Image Comics, written by Greg Rucka and Eric Troutman, art by Mike Henderson. In this issue, I can definitely describe what's going on, so here I go. There is one character who is trapped in some sort of other space, and she is talking to the enemy, and, spoiler, kind of finding out that they're not exactly what everybody thinks they are. Meanwhile, in regular space, the rest of our Forged and the rest of the government is planning a attack on these seeming enemies. Complicated stuff. Justin, what'd you think about this one?
I like this. It is dense, to your point, but I like Greg Rucka's commitment to his stories is so deep, and you can see by no one does back matter like Greg Rucka does, so that's very cool. This story feels like it's halfway between Starship Troopers and Dune.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot going on here, and some really amazing art, and then you got some weird glowing ladies and war.
Well, we've lost Pete.
There's Pete's War Journal is a little running out of ink, as they say.
Ultimate Black Panther, number 4 from Marvel, written by Brian Edward Hill, art by Stefano Caselli. In this issue, T'Challa has been missing for a while. Spoiler alert, he returns, but they are fighting against Moon Knights? Question mark?
Well, disciples of Khonshu type of things.
There you go. Yeah, like some fists.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really fun ish. You got a lot of Khonshu talk, so maybe you're thinking maybe a little Moon Knight will show up in a couple issues from now or something. But yeah, just great to have T'Challa back just in the nick of time. But yeah, I love the reveal, the cool last panel here where you got the team he's working with, and very excited for how this is all going down. I think this is a fun Ultimates book that brings a lot of great energy and amazing art.
Really good art. This is a good Black Panther story. I like the introduction of some additional characters at the end. And this is maybe just my expectation going in. I expect this to be more of an ultimate book, like have a little bit more of deviation from the main 616 type of storyline, and it just feels this could to me easily be in the regular Marvel universe.
The thing that struck me this issue is I almost wish they had done an Ultimate Moon Knight title, because that feels like the bigger swing to me than what they're doing with Black Panther, honestly.
Yeah.
Holy Roller, number 6 from Image Comics, written by Rick Remender, Andy Samberg, and Joe Troman, art by Roland Bosky. In this issue, our bowling vigilante is on his back legs, gets rescued by a surprising source.
He sort of gets a 7-10 split from a storytelling perspective.
He gets a 7-10 split, and then he hits the 7. We'll see if he gets the 10 on the next bowl, because as we all know, you get 3 bowls per frame, right?
Nope, that's not accurate. That's not how bowling works.
So. I think so.
It's definitely
I usually go as much as I want.
That's not how it works.
My daddy owns the bowling alley, and he says I can go as much as I want.
All right, take it easy there.
Wow, keep rolling. So you're sort of our holy roller.
I guess so.
You're your daddy's holy
I felt
roller.
like this issue, you could really get the voice of the Sandberg here. I felt like there was some fun kind of comedy that I recognized from the cadence of like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine type of thing. So this crazy madness, fun hijinks, your phone makes you want to murder people. I mean, that's not news. That's just, that's just how your phones work. But, I think this is a crazy good time, and they're delivering.
I really saw Pete. I saw you in this story. Like, you could kill at any time if your phone does something weird. But this story it felt like sort of a small town vigilante violent book, and now it's gotten into some wild different things. A guy that just says pudding, and
that's fun.
Cell phone scam that is technology that is surprising to me. I think I liked it a little bit better when it was more contained from a genre perspective, but I do want to see him break some more faces with his bowling ball.
Yeah.
This is, to me, very much what we were talking about on the live show this week. This is a screenplay in comic 100%. Book form. There you go. Yeah. Wonder Woman, number 9 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, art by Daniel Sempere and Belen Ortega. In the front story, Wonder Woman is dealing with her extended imprisonment by the Sovereign by imagining that she is talking to Steve Trevor in various settings over the course of months, as we discover by the end. And in the backup story, Batman and Superman get turned into corgis, and then Trinity has to take care of them. This is great. Everything about this is great. There is a fantastic amount of tension in the front story where I got so emotionally involved. I was like, you're not going to let Wonder Woman give up, right? You're not going to let her give up. How dare you? Don't let her give up. What are you doing? And it brings you, again, spoiler for walking through the story, but like, Tom King knows Wonder Woman very well, and that is abundantly clear in this issue. And then you get this nice after-dinner mint of a story with the stuff with Trinity that is so ridiculous and so fun.
No tension in that story.
None.
Yeah, it's
so much tension in the front
overload.
story, no tension in the back story. Great stuff.
It's a great combo. And let me say, like, I think you hit it with Tom King. Like, he just is doing character studies when he takes on these titles, like he did with Vision, like he did with Mr. Miracle. Like, he gets underneath the skin of these characters and is able to sort of, like, tease out what's important here. And for this one, like, the relationship between her and Steve Trevor is so greatly done here. We sort of touch on it, move away from it, get into some underlying philosophy of Wonder Woman as a character. I love the line where he's like, Superman died, Batman was broken, you remain undefeated.
Yeah,
That's such
crazy.
a great observation about Wonder Woman, and is such a badass thing for the figment of her love to say to her to keep her going. And at the same time, like great, big, really great writing. And then you also have like, and she also befriended a rat for real who like sits with her and is her friend. I was like, okay, we're here for that too. Wild.
Yeah, I mean, her and Steve, kind of dates was just lovely, just really awesome and heartbreaking and powerful in all the great ways. And then, the cuteness overload backup story was a blast.
Ghost Rider, Final Vengeance, #3 for Marvel, written by Benjamin Percy. Final Vengeance. By Benjamin Percy, art by Danny Kim. This issue, we're following two paths. On one, Parker Robbins, a.k.a. The Hood, is trying to take over the Chicago underworld using his new Ghost Rider powers. And meanwhile, one of the two Ghost Riders, I want to say
Johnny Blaze.
Johnny Blaze, it's not Danny Cage? Okay.
Danny Ketch, or Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage.
Take his
face
right? off.
Is that his voice? Nicolas Cage?
Nope.
Sort of. I think that's your version of it, yes.
I don't know. I'll work on it over the course of the rest of the show. Anyway, he is dealing with some stuff as well.
Awesome cover. This was really cool. Amazing art. I don't know who Red Hood thinks he is, but you can't just buy a family, bro. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, you can impress your son, but I mean, that's about as far as it's going to get. But, Ghost Rider has a new friend, and they fight off some hellhounds. I mean, this is a great time, great pace, tons of action.
This comic is really selling Chicago. There's a lot of Hood is talking a lot about Chicago as really breaking down the underlying crime stuff. And I was like, I feel like you're going to kill these people immediately. So I don't know why you're really talking about how the L works. But I don't know, with the split screen between the Parker Robbins stuff and the Johnny Blaze stuff, I just want them, it just feels like two different comics existing at the same time.
Yeah. Rogue Sun, #19 from Image Comics, written by Ryan Perrin and Nick Cotton.
Alex, his
art
guy.
by Marco Retta. This is my guy, and every issue I read of this, I'm like, God, I hate the fact that Justin always calls out that I love this comic book. And then I read an issue and I'm like, God damn it, I love this comic book. And one of the reasons that I love it is, from a format perspective, how creative it is almost every issue. Like, it got into big fisticuffs, superhero crossover stuff for a little bit there. And I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm out. And then this issue, we have a new person riding with Rogue Sun, and you read the issue, and you're like, okay, they're going on an adventure, they're figuring each other out, and then you hit...
That's his dad, right?
I think it's his dad, but I thought it was his dad, but it was like, I don't know who this guy is at one point, and I was like, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe this is somebody new.
I think he just didn't know his dad because his dad was always being Rogue Sun.
Okay. Well, anyway, so yes, his dad is in there, and it ends on this very ominous note where you see a panel of two different Rogue Suns, and one of them is upside down. The reason is this is a flip book, and if you flip it over, you read it again from the other character's perspective, and it's the exact same panels with different narration. Great. One of my absolute favorite issues of the week. This was so good, and I should have known that from the cover. Like, I did not know it was a flip book, and I hit the middle, I was like, oh shit, oh, this is great. I got to flip this over, and it was awesome.
It took me a minute too, because I was like, oh, it's the same. What are we doing? And then I was like, oh, wait, the narration's in a different color. The other guys, take. I thought it was really smartly done as well. And I liked the way that there are sections that are different because they're each at different points not listening to the other person talking because they're thinking. I thought that was just such a cool way to show a very true thing about perspective, especially in close familial relations and people working together. It's very cool.
Yeah, along those lines. What? But I just think it's very creative and unique and fun. So it's nice to see people taking swings like that, even though you think like, oh, I know what Rogue Sun's about. No, you don't. But yeah, I mean, you can't really say enough about how amazing the art is. I mean, come on. The art, guys? You're talking about the art?
It's worth
He
it for
likes
the art
art
alone. I would say Blue Book, 1947, #4 from Dark Horse Comics, written by James Todd IV and John Harris Dunning. Art by
JT4?
Michael Avon Oming and John J. Pearson. In the front story, we're continuing to follow the Roswell case as that expands and grows in different ways. In the backstory, some crazy stuff is happening.
Well, first off, you got to say that this art is just immaculate. I mean, the coloring, the shading,
the MAO art.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Michael Ivan Oming is a legend, and it shows here because the tone that it sets, the coolness, the vibe of it is just so cool and really makes you want to kind of get into this world and sets things up really well. And then, yeah, we kind of go on this whole, aliens, flying saucer kind of craze. And it's historically fun to kind of go down this rabbit hole with this team.
I like that from an art perspective, this book has always been told in like blues, shades of blue. We get some red in here. In some 3D glasses when they're talking about the UFO craze that hit movies. I'm a skeptic. I'm definitely a Scully as opposed to a Mulder. But this book does a great job of making you really buy into the hype. So that's a hard task for someone like me. So shouts to that.
X-Men 97, #3 from Marvel, written by Steve Fox, art by Salva Espen. In this issue, the X-Men are fighting the Marauders, among other things, as we continue to work our way towards the beginning of Season 1 of X-Men 97. The big deal here is the reintroduction of Morph. We get to see them morph into a bunch of stuff. What'd you guys think about this issue?
Well, I just feel like you use morph too much in your description, but other than that, I think you did a good job. No, I think this is great, but the problem is the show has gotten too far ahead a little bit and has ruined it because I was just like, as soon as you see Gambit and Rogue together, I was like, oh my God. Oh God. So yeah.
No spoilers there.
Yeah, but it was hard, and even the interactions with Morph and Wolverine are kind of ruined by the show. So, don't get me wrong, I love the show. I also love this comic, and it feels like a great kind of thing that just kind of, they pulled, the art is so good, it feels like it's pulled right from the animated show. But because we're so invested in the show a little bit, it does kind of spoil some fun here, a tad.
I do weirdly agree with Pete. The show moved so far over the course of the season that reading this is sort of like, this isn't real. This isn't what the show is doing at all. But we are building up toward it, and it just feels so far afield from where we actually saw on the show. So, but from just a straight up story, it's nice stuff.
All right, last but not least, Local Man, #10 from Image Comics, written by Tony Fleecs and Tim Seeley, art by Tony Fleecs and Tim Seeley. In this issue, we're kicking off a new storyline after our Local Man has left town due to the events of the previous 9 issues. He is shacking up with, I don't even want to call her an ex-girlfriend, but an ex-F buddy. You know what I'm doing.
Oh, come on, man.
I mean, it's true. And meanwhile, a bunch of stuff is going on back in Farmington that he has to investigate by the end of the issue. Great. I don't know if this is a great starting point if you haven't been reading this series, but it is a great restart point for the book. I thought this was very, very good. What'd you think, Pete?
Yeah, one thing I want to bring up that you haven't mentioned at all yet is Tony Fleecs and Tim Seeley. Oh my God!
I mentioned them each. I said their names twice.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying it a third time. Yeah. Anyways, I think that rule of threes. It's always fun when you have to explain the joke. I'm enjoying this. It's kind of a post-apoc kind of nightmare world where everybody goes to.
You were using that term so wrong, and I have to.
If you would let me finish my sentence, night werewolf, you have to go to church every day. Who wants Who wants to have to go to church every day? That seems like a.
Could you call it like a pre-APOC world?
Okay, yeah, I could. Yeah,
Great.
That would make
We're kind
sense.
of in that too.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little too close to helm there, but amazing art, fantastic storytelling. I also really thought it was funny when they ran.
Strong take at the end of the pod from Alex.
I also thought it was like really fun the way he just ran away from the cops when they were talking to him at the funeral. That was a really funny, enjoyable moment, and yeah, I'm having a blast with this.
Yep. Great stuff. Definitely check out this book. It is awesome. And if you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/comicbookclub. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about comics, Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.